she was trying to actually look for me in many ways. She called you, and she called Sister Griselda, and she was just trying to reach me somehow because I lost my cell phone for about 20 hours yesterday, and I didn't have a way to communicate with anybody. And so what happened was that our son, the oldest one of the ones we have, had suffered a stroke about 4 years ago. And last night it appeared that he was suffering another stroke. And so they took him to the hospital, emergency, and then we were notified. I left from here. As you probably noticed, I left unexpectedly. I just left. They didn't know. Nobody knew exactly what was going on. All we knew was that he fainted, and then he was not. He didn't know what was going on when he woke up. He didn't know what had happened, and so they thought he suffered a stroke. They did all kinds of tests on him. So it was not a stroke. Thank God for that. He suffered from high blood pressure. And so that caused him to his body to react to that. I think they say it was 170 over 120, which is really bad. He could have a stroke, but immediately when he went into the hospital, they treated him for that, and gradually the blood pressure went down, and he was released last night from the hospital. So he's back at home. And my wife left this morning. I drove her to LAX around 3 in the morning. And she went to Washington to be with him. And this is why it's important for us to fast occasionally and to keep a good diet, because your body will actually go back in control when you fast, at least one day a week. When you fast, your body goes in control. And our son has not kept up with the health message. We have to agree with that. And so that has caused problems for him and his health. And we encourage you, young people, to think about that in your life. Keep up with the health message that we have. We have a wonderful, wonderful message, and we need to keep up with it so we can go longer without any illnesses and help our lives that way. Anyway, I want to talk to you tonight about stewardship and what stewardship means. It's like it's almost like ministry, except in the ministry you actually minister to people. As a steward, you actually are taking care of things. And the pastor, the minister, takes care of people, but the steward takes care of the things that God created for us. So a steward is often hired in the secular world. A steward is often hired by rich people or a rich person to care for the money or the property or the running of a business or the estate that they have. So the steward must care for these things, not as if they were his own or her own, but because they belong to somebody else, he has to take care of them. It's called a steward. Now, Jesus did talk about stewardship, and he meant that when you think about it in the scriptures, you need to realize what stewardship means. We don't really own anything in the world. Everything we have is given to us by our Creator, our God. And therefore, He expects us to take care of those things that we have from Him. In fact, everything that we own, it don't matter what it is, everything belongs to God. And because it belongs to Him, He wants us to be good stewards and take care of it. So tonight we're going to talk about three areas where God's people, or actually where God had stewards to look into it as a good steward for Him. We're going to talk about the earth, we're going to talk about our health, and we're going to talk about time. And so before we begin, let's just bow our heads for a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank You for the opportunity to be here and this week of prayer. with us tonight as we study these three items. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. So, we go, yes.
I'm sorry, I forgot to tell something for the people who have not been here a few days before.
Yeah.
Every night, everybody has a notebook so they can pay attention to the sermon and write 3 questions that we're going to discuss at the end.
At the end, yes.
At the end. So I don't know if you guys have a notebook. If not, we have some here if you guys need one.
So you have a notebook and a pen. If you don't, there's some here. And if you need a pen, there's some in the pastor's office, or we have some here too. You need one, Brian? You have a notebook?
Yes.
Okay, you have a pen? Everybody has a pen? Good. Okay. Do you know who God's first stewards were? Well, let's find out who they were. Can someone read for me Genesis 1, chapter 1, verses 26 and 27 from the scriptures? Okay, go ahead, brother. Here.
And God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image, in the image of God created he him, male and female created he them.
Thank you. Thank you. Since God was the creator, owner, and ruler of everything that is on the earth, what do you think it means when he says to Adam and Eve to rule over everything? What do you think he meant when he said that? Anybody? What do you think he meant? Well, he gave them dominion. They were supposed to be the rulers under him, and by his own love and power, they were to rule. They were to become stewards of things. That's what he meant. Right. Now, were they supposed to be in the character of God, because they were created in the image of God, in the image of God, so they had to have God's character. Were they supposed to be cruel to animals? No, because God's character is not like that. Were they supposed to be critical of the land and the earth and the plants? No, certainly not. But when sin came in, after Satan came in and they gave in to Satan, things began to change. Right? They began to be cruel to animals. People began to be cruel to animals, harmful to the land, and worst of all, cruel to each other. Did you know that? They were cruel to each other. In fact, by Genesis chapter 4, Cain had already killed his brother, Abel. And his great-great-great-grandson, Lamech, had 2 wives and boasted about how many people he had killed. Could you believe that? Now, what kind of stewardship is that? If God wanted us to be stewards, were they being good stewards? No, of course not. God wants us to take care of the whole world around us and all that it is, all that it is in the world. If you were here in person, then you're supposed to take care of the things in the world because he created them for us. On the other hand, when God comes back again to this earth that he created, this perfect earth that it was when he created it, just as Jesus told in the story in the book of Luke, chapter 12, we find the warning. Listen to here. We find the warning of what will happen to those who were destructive of the world. Can someone read to me Revelation chapter 11, verses 17 and 18, just to find out exactly what he will do to all of those people that were destructive of the world. Revelation 11, verses 17 and 18.
We give thanks
So it is a fact that if we are not good stewards, we're actually being bad stewards. And so if we're not really helping the world that He created, and the animals and the plants and everything that He created, we're actually destroying all those things. And so I don't want to be one of those people that He's coming for to destroy because we destroy the earth. How about you? Would you like to be one of those people? I don't think so. Imagine if Adam and Eve had said no to Satan. Imagine that. Now what do you think will be different about the world today if Adam and Eve would have said no to Satan? What do you think will be different? Anything? There would be no people dying, okay, no death. Anything else? If he had said no to Satan? Remember, we were created, yes. That's right. We must be able to have a personal communication with God. Very personal, because that's what it was in the beginning. Right? What else do you think it would have been like? I think we probably love each other more. There would be a lot of peace, that's right. Now, Cain would have not killed Abel. That's right. But tell me, how can you help to take care of the earth? If God called you to be a steward, a good steward for God, how can you help to take care of the earth? What would you do? Okay, not to be a litter bug. That's good. You don't want to just throw trash around. What else? What else can we do? Anybody? To gardening? Yeah. That's what we were supposed to do from the beginning, yeah. And we will be careful with the earth that got created. So now let me turn the question around. Are there ways to destroy the earth that got created? They are. How? Polluting? Okay. Anything else? How other way that you can destroy the earth? Deforestation. What, Brother Lee? Yeah, war destroys the earth, yeah. In fact, some nations look forward to war because they know that they can rebuild again. That's right.
Nuclear kind of goes a little bit further, though.
Well, yeah, back in those days it was not nuclear, but they look for wars to fight so they can rebuild their cities again. So, what are some of the changes that need to happen to preserve the earth? What are some of the things that need to happen to preserve the earth? Okay. Okay. Got it. Do you think it matters to God that we preserve the earth? Yes, it does. It matters to God whether we take care of the earth. That's right. Now, can you think of things Jesus said or did that show that God cares for the plants and the animals? Can you think of anything that Jesus did or that He said that show that we're to be good stewards? Anyone? As a church, what can we do to help care for God's creation as a church? Okay. Okay. Good, good. So we have to be stewards of the earth as well as stewards of our own health. Our own health. Now, what are some of the things that went bad when Adam and Eve disobeyed God? What were some of the things that went bad? Everything went bad, says Brian. Well, pretty close. Pretty close, everything went bad. We were supposed to live forever, remember that? We were supposed to have a long life and live forever. 900 years. And from that moment on, when sin came into the world, from that moment on, every generation lived fewer and fewer years than the generation before. Did you know that? After the flood continued, and it appears that it was worse because people began to live in violation of God's first diet. So things were really bad. Within just a few generations, people went from a lifespan of 900 years to a lifespan of 200 years. Within just a few generations. In fact, by the time of the book of Genesis ended, Joseph lived just 110 years. When the beginning of Genesis, people were living up to 800, 900 years. In some areas of the world, the lifespan is in the 40s. Can you believe that? In some parts of the world. There are a few places in the world exist where people live over 100 years. And it's usually somewhere up in the mountains. When I was in the Philippines, I was impressed when I was up in the mountains in the island of Camotes, and I was doing my ministry up there. I met little old ladies about 80 or 90, almost 100 years old, and they were still working physically. Wow, I was impressed. An old gentleman that was probably over 100 years old. Every morning, as I walked to the little town of Porlo, in the island of Camotes, I walked probably about 3 miles over and 3 miles back, and I did this every day because in Porlo was the only area where they have free Wi-Fi. And I was able to talk to my wife through Viber and on my cell phone because of the Wi-Fi. I went over there and every day I talked to my wife, and we FaceTime, and I show her where I was and the ocean and the beach and beautiful houses where rich tourists decided to live there. People from the United States, America, and probably other countries, they were purchasing and building homes in this little island of Camotes. There were big homes. And so I was showing all that to my wife on FaceTime. So the problem is this. Why is our health going downhill? Why do you think that is? 2 reasons? What are they, Brother Alfredo?
Genetically, we're downgrading as ages go by, and the food, the earth itself doesn't have the same strength that it had.
That's right. That's right, and why? We were supposed to let the earth rest for how many years? 1 year, and to use it 6. And very rare you see people doing that nowadays. Now, they do these on 50th Street East and Avenue K2 and K4. They plant carrots, they plant onions, they plant hay, and they leave the land alone for 1 year. For 1 year, they don't plant anything because they take turns, some areas. And they let it rest for 1 year. And then they start all over again for 6 years, and they grow carrots, onions, and hay, and then they let it rest again. It is interesting, and they have a good crop. Trucks and trucks of onions and carrots and all that stuff. The problem is that we eat a lot of things that we're not supposed to eat. A lot of fried foods. When I was in the Philippines, we had a strict diet. Of course, I was with Amazing Facts. Amazing Facts is a very strict diet. No oils whatsoever. No salt. Can you imagine? Eat food without salt? You won't like it. No oils, no salt, no meat. Everything from the plants. Everything. And everything was either boiled, steamed, cooked in water, but no oils whatsoever. Man, I lost 35 pounds in 3 months. I did. I found it when I got back to the States. worst thing, when I came back, people look at me, they thought I was dying, you know. What, are you sick? Why are you so thin? It's your bones. They looked at me and I was like, bones, you know. So, when the Chinese people came to America, they began to eat our fast foods. That's right. With the Chinese people, there's a study done, the China study, right? Is that what it is? China study? Or the study in China? Something like that. My wife has a book. They did a study in China where they figured out what they were eating because they were actually living longer in China. So they did a study. They found out that they didn't have all the sugars that we have here. They didn't have all the fast foods. They didn't have the meat. They didn't have none of that. Now, some of these Chinese people moved to the United States. The minute they moved to the United States, they found out all of our fast food chains. And they began to consume the fast food. And they noticed in their own selves, hey, this is not good. I'm changing. I'm no longer thin anymore. I got 1 inch that I can pinch. They began to be sick and tired, weak. And their bodies show the results of the change of their diets. Interesting. Let's look at one food item only, just one. Let's look at the potato. Potatoes are native in the Western Hemisphere. Okay? We know about the potatoes. But they were introduced to the rest of the world by the 16th and 17th century. Took the potato to the rest of the world. And quickly became very popular, and for good reason. A potato contains fiber, protein, several vitamins, some potassium, which is essential for every body cell in our bodies. In your body, you can survive with just eating potatoes. Your natural potato. You boil it. If you eat 1 potato or 2 potatoes a day, you will survive for years because it has everything the body needs. But take the potato, peel it, you take away all the protein. That's right. You get rid of all the protein of the potato. Take the potato, peel it, get rid of that protein. Now slice it thin, throw it into some hot oil, and make a potato chip. And take that potato chip and put some salt and spices and flavors, artificial flavors. You just ruin a perfect good vegetable. Now you have created a lethal weapon. That's what happens. You created a lethal weapon that actually can kill you if you eat a lot of potato chips. That's right. You remove the nutrients, the proteins, the vitamins, or the potassium, everything that is essential to the body. You just remove it when you peel it, then you slice it, and you fry it. Wow. Whatever is left of it, now you don't have anything that is healthy in the potato at all. But we're not done yet. Add the spices. And when you eat those spices, and they go into your system, they create some sort of a coating in your veins, in your arteries, that adhere to your arteries, especially if you use the oil, hot oil. It creates some coating inside your blood vessels. And this is what create, what do you call it? Cholesterol. You create cholesterol. Now, cholesterol is not really good for the human body. We are supposed to make our own cholesterol, and we do. Our bodies make their own cholesterol. You know that, right? Yeah. But would you add more to it? You don't have to, but we do it. When we go into the junk food store, and we get all those hamburgers and all that good stuff, and the moment it goes into your system, you will start to clog your system, which complete junk that you put in. And that is just not good for your health. In other words, it is actually bad for you. We must be better stewards of our bodies, precious bodies, because the Bible says that we were purchased with a price. And what What was the price? The blood of Jesus. Jesus Christ was the price that our bodies were purchased with. Now, we need to be stewards of our time as well. I don't understand how can some people have no time at all. When you ask him, oh, I'm sorry, I just don't have any time. And other people who have very little time, oh yeah, look, I only got 2 minutes, so hurry up. And then other people, yet they run out of time. I don't understand that because we all get the same amount of time. Have you noticed that? We all get 24 hours in the day. But how much time do you have? And how do you use your time? The fact is that we get all the same amount of time, which is 24 hours. But here's the question. How do you manage your time as a good steward? That's the big question. Can someone read Ephesians chapter 5, verses 15 through 17? I think it's Brother Dave, is it? Yes. Okay. Ephesians 5, 15 through 17.
See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Wherefore, be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. 15 to 17.
Thank you, Brother Dave. So what is this passage telling us about time? What does it say? We need to work circumspectly. What does that mean? That means the best you can, physically. And then it says redeeming the time. Means you have to take care of your time. That's what it means. You need to take care of your time. In addition to us managing our time, God is also using time to take care of us. Did you know that when you go to bed at night, your organs in your body recreate themselves? Did you know that? They regenerate when you go to sleep. They regenerate inside your body. But, that's right. But if you don't have the right foods in your body, will the organs regenerate? No. On the contrary, they will decay. They will ruin the organs. Because the body needs time to restore itself, to reinvigorate itself. And God gave us time for that. That's why he says you're supposed to sleep how many hours a day? 8, 7, or 8 hours, that's advisable. Now, if you sleep less than 7 hours, what happened? You're tired. You're not complete. And if you sleep more than 8 hours, some people sleep 10, 12 hours. If you sleep more than 8 hours, it's not good as well. You're actually ruining your body. You sleep more than 8 hours? Oh my goodness. See? Inactivity. So we are to be good stewards of our time that God gave to us. Ephesians 5, 15 and 17 tells us, rest is necessary. Rest is taking time for revival, restore, reinvigorate. And it usually takes 8 hours to do all that in the evening. That's why you're supposed to sleep in the evening, because your liver, all the organs that we have, they regenerate. Remember, you got to put good food in there to regenerate the proper way. If you eat a bag of potato chips just before you go to bed, don't expect your liver to work okay. Don't expect your blood to work okay. No, it will not regenerate. Usually we take hours to sleep, and that is the norm. If you use more than that, you're misusing the time God gave you. Now, if you don't use more than that, then you have to use less time for other things. Remember, you need to learn to work and to be productive in this world. Do things. God also give you time for rest. It's physically and spiritually. We have 1 day in 6. Listen, he gave you 6 days. Now he only wants 1 back. Isn't that great? You got 6 days to do whatever you have he says, but the Sabbath is what? Is my day, he says. You rest on that day. You got 6. It's the same with money. God gave you 100%, but only 90% is yours, and the other 10% is his. So he wants that time. He wants you to remember the tithe. You need to learn to work and to do productive things. Spiritually and physically, we have the Sabbath for the spiritual rest, and we have the 8 hours for the physical rest. Just so you know, God is working with you when you sleep. God gives many things to you. Don't take them for granted. Watch for how God will impress you to help someone else, because that is something that we can use our time for. Help somebody else. You help yourself, and then you help somebody else. Manage your time wisely, God is saying. Redeem the time. That's what Ephesians says. Redeem it wisely. You need to be wise. He says, redeem it wisely. Remember, the time that we have is not really our time. I mean, God can shut it down anytime he wants to. So it's not really our time. I feel bad. Last night I had to drive to LAX to drop my wife off so she can go to Washington. I spent 4 hours in the freeway. From 3 o'clock I got home around 7. Now I went back to bed because I didn't sleep an hour. And I feel bad for my body. I can imagine those people like Brother Alfredo that goes every day and spend, how many hours you spend, brother, in the freeway? 4 or 5 hours?
About 3 something.
In a good day? In a good day you got 3 hours that he spends on the freeway. So he has to use that time to do something productive, or make up for these 3 hours that he lost and do something productive all the times. We have to manage our time wisely. We are supposed to be stewards of the time. Keep in mind these 3 things that God expects us to take care of. We are to be stewards and take care of ourselves. We need to be stewards and take care of what he created for us. We are to be stewards and take care of the earth that he created for us. And we're supposed to take care of our time. Don't waste your time. Use it wisely. Give the Lord 6 days. Give the Lord 1 day. Keep 6 days. 1 day. And which day is that one?
Sabbath.
The Sabbath day. So he expects us to be stewards of our health.